Peter Walsh stared at his computer screen in the quiet NASA control room, his coffee growing cold beside his keyboard. Something was different today. The numbers and data streams on his monitor seemed to pulse with an odd energy he had never noticed before. As he reached for his mouse, the cursor moved before he touched it. He blinked hard and rubbed his eyes. The late shift was probably getting to him, but when he opened his eyes again, all the screens in the room flickered in sync with his heartbeat. Peter took a deep breath, trying to stay calm as he realized he could feel every electronic device in the room like they were extensions of his own body. Across town, Dr. Amy Bennett was having her own strange experience in her quantum physics lab. The sensitive equipment around her was picking up energy signatures that made no sense. At first, she thought her machines were broken, but after triple-checking everything, she knew this was something else entirely. "This is impossible," she muttered, adjusting her glasses as she stared at the readings. The energy patterns looked almost like brainwaves, but they were somehow interacting with her quantum computers in ways that defied everything she knew about physics. The phone on her desk rang, making her jump. It was her colleague from the other side of the country. "Amy, are you seeing this?" Sam's voice was tense. "These readings are showing up everywhere. It's like the whole planet is lighting up with some kind of new energy signature." Before she could answer, every screen in her lab lit up at once. Numbers and data began flowing across them without anyone touching the keyboards. Amy felt a strange tingling in her fingers as she reached toward her main computer. Meanwhile, Peter was discovering that his newfound abilities went far beyond moving cursors. As he focused on the satellite data streaming into NASA's systems, he could somehow see the information in his mind, understanding it in ways that should have been impossible. He could feel the satellites themselves, orbiting high above Earth, as if they were singing to him in a language of pure data. "Hey, Walsh." His supervisor's voice snapped him back to reality. "Why aren't you responding to your messages?" Peter looked up to see his boss, John Miller, standing over his desk with a concerned expression. The older man's face changed from irritation to worry when he saw Peter's pale face and shaking hands. "Something's happening," Peter managed to say. I can feel the machines." John was about to tell Peter to go home and get some rest when every device in the control room suddenly came to life. Screens filled with data, printers started running, and the emergency systems began flashing without triggering any alarms. Across the globe, similar scenes were playing out. People were discovering abilities they couldn't explain. Some could interface with computers using only their thoughts. Others found they could see wireless signals or communicate with artificial intelligence systems as easily as talking to a friend. In her lab, Amy's quantum computers had begun showing patterns that looked like DNA sequences, but with impossible variations. As she studied them, a terrible realization hit her. These weren't new patterns at all. They had always been there, dormant in human DNA, waiting for something to wake them up. The phone rang again. This time it was Peter Walsh from NASA, someone she had never met, but whose name had appeared in her computer systems moments ago. "Dr. Bennett." His voice was steady despite the stress she could hear behind it. "I think you're seeing the same things we are. Something's changing in people all over the world, and your quantum energy readings might explain why." Amy looked at her screens, then at her own hands, which were now giving off a faint blue glow as she typed. "Mr. Walsh," she replied, watching as her computers responded to her thoughts. "I think humanity is waking up, and this is just the beginning." Outside her lab window, the night sky seemed different somehow. Among the stars, something was moving, coming closer to Earth. The awakening had begun, and with it, humanity's true history was about to be revealed. Catherine Moore sat in the quiet military communications center, her eyes fixed on the strange signal patterns flowing across her screen. After 20 years of listening to space, she had never seen anything like this. The signal was too perfect, too structured to be natural, but unlike anything made on Earth. "General Roberts," she called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I think you need to see this." The general walked over, his coffee cup stopping halfway to his lips as he saw the display. The signal was growing stronger, and now other stations around the world were picking it up too. In the 3 weeks since people had started showing unusual abilities, the world had changed. Governments struggled to handle the chaos of ordinary citizens suddenly able to control technology with their minds. Now this new signal suggested they weren't alone in the universe. At NASA, Peter Walsh and Amy Bennett worked together, combining their new abilities with their scientific knowledge. They had discovered that the strange powers weren't random. They'd followed patterns, like a language written in pure energy. "Look at this," Amy said, pointing to her screen. "The signal, it's using the same patterns we found in our DNA." Peter nodded, his eyes glowing slightly as he connected directly with the computer systems. "It's like they know us, like they've been waiting for us to wake up." The answer came 3 hours later. Every screen on Earth, phones, computers, televisions, flickered to life at once. A message appeared, written in every human language. "Greetings, children of the Ancient Ones. We are the Arcturus Collective. Your awakening has begun, and we have come to welcome you home." Catherine's team was the first to decode the full message that followed. The aliens called themselves peacekeepers, watchers who had waited for humanity to reactivate their dormant abilities. According to them, humans were descendants of a powerful civilization called the Techno-Mages, who had hidden themselves on Earth long ago. In Washington, the president's emergency meeting was interrupted by the appearance of a hologram, a tall, silvery figure that looked almost human, but not quite. "We mean you no harm," the figure said, its voice somehow both mechanical and warm. "We are your ancient allies, and we have come because you will soon need us." Around the world, governments scrambled to respond. Military bases went on high alert, but their weapons seemed useless against the massive ships now visible at the edge of the solar system. Peter and Amy were quickly brought to a secure facility, along with others showing strong technological abilities. Catherine joined them, bringing the full data from the alien transmissions. "They say we're not just random people who got powers," Catherine explained, showing them the decoded messages. "We're the descendants of people who could merge with technology, who built wonders that looked like magic to other civilizations." Amy studied the data with her enhanced senses. "The nanites in our DNA, they weren't just sleeping. They were waiting for something specific. But what?" The answer came from the Arcturus themselves. "A great darkness approaches. The enemy that forced your ancestors into hiding has found you again. We have come to help you remember who you are, before it's too late." In orbit, more ships appeared, elegant vessels that seemed to be made of light and metal combined. They took up protective positions around Earth, like guardians awakened from a long sleep. Peter stood at the facility's window, watching the sky change color as the alien ship's energy fields became visible to human eyes. "Everything we thought we knew about ourselves, about our history." He shook his head. "It was just the surface." "We're not ready," Catherine said, looking at the latest transmission data. Amy placed her hand on a nearby computer, and it came to life with new energy. "Maybe not," she replied, as streams of ancient code began flowing across the screen. "But we better learn fast, because ready or not, our past has come back to find us." Dr. Daniel Carter stood at the edge of the research ship, watching the robots dive into the deep Pacific waters. For years, he had followed strange patterns in the ocean floor, and now, with his newly awakened abilities, he could feel something calling to him from below. "We've got something." Lisa Wright's voice crackled over the radio. The young archaeologist was coordinating the underwater drones from the ship's control room. "The metal readings are off the charts. This isn't natural." Daniel rushed back inside, his mind connecting directly with the drone feeds. What he saw made him stop breathing for a moment. Hidden under centuries of coral and sand was a massive door, covered in symbols that glowed faintly in response to their presence. "It's reacting to us," Lisa said, her own technologically enhanced senses picking up ancient energy signatures, just like the Arcturus said it would. They had found the ruins 2 days ago, following coordinates hidden in the alien messages. But this was different from any underwater structure ever discovered. This one was alive with technology. Back at the secure facility, Peter Walsh and Amy Bennett watched the live feed from the ocean expedition. Amy's fingers danced over her quantum computers, analyzing the strange symbols. "These patterns," she said, her eyes glowing with enhanced vision. "They're the same ones we found in our DNA. This isn't just a building, it's part of our heritage." Peter nodded, his mind reaching out to connect with the facility systems. All those old stories about magic, about people with impossible powers. He paused, processing the data. They weren't myths. They were memories. Under the ocean, Daniel and Lisa's team had finally opened the ancient door. Inside, they found chambers filled with technology that seemed to blur the line between science and magic. Holographic displays sprang to life at their approach, showing images of Earth's distant past. "Look at this," Lisa whispered, her hand hovering over a control panel. "These aren't just records. They're instructions. Our ancestors left us a manual." The images showed humans wielding technology with their minds, building wonders that seemed impossible. But they also showed something else, a terrible war that forced them to hide, to bury their technology and modify their own children to conceal their powers until the time was right. Catherine Moore's voice came over their communication system. "The Arcturus ships are picking up unusual energy readings from your location. Whatever you found down there, it's starting to wake up." Daniel walked deeper into the ruins, feeling the ancient systems respond to his presence. "They didn't just hide their technology," he said, watching as more systems came online. "They hid their whole civilization, right here on Earth, waiting for us to remember." In another chamber, Lisa found something that made her call the others immediately. It was a message left by their ancestors, finally revealing the truth about human history. "We were not just powerful," she read, her voice shaking. "We were the ones who taught other civilizations to merge with technology. We were the original Techno-Mages, and we seeded the stars with our knowledge." But the message also contained a warning. The enemy that had forced them into hiding, the ones the Arcturus called the Void Hunters, had never stopped searching. And now, with humanity's powers awakening, they would come again. Peter and Amy worked through the night, combining their abilities to understand the flood of information from the ruins. The ancient technology was complex, but somehow familiar, like remembering something from a dream. "Our ancestors left us everything we need," Amy said, watching as more ruins began activating around the world. "But we have to learn fast, because this time, we're not hiding." Daniel emerged from the depths one last time, carrying an ancient device that pulsed with power. "No," he agreed, as the device connected with their awakened abilities. "This time, we fight." Eric Foster stood in front of a group of 30 newly awakened individuals in the converted airplane hangar. As a former Air Force pilot, he knew how to train people, but this was different. These trainees could interface with machines using only their minds. "The Void Hunters aren't just coming," he said, his voice echoing in the large space. "According to the Arcturus Collective, they're already at the edge of our solar system. We have weeks, maybe days, to prepare." The hangar was filled with training equipment, old computers, drones, and pieces of the ancient technology they had found in the underwater ruins. Each student had to learn to control their abilities before they lost control of themselves. A young woman in the front row accidentally made all the lights flicker when she sneezed. "Sorry," she said, looking embarrassed. "I still can't control it properly." Eric smiled kindly. "That's why we're here. Remember what the ancient records taught us. These abilities aren't just about power. They're about understanding the connection between mind and machine." At the Military Command Center, Catherine Moore worked with generals from around the world to coordinate Earth's defenses. The Arcturus ships in orbit provided some protection, but Earth needed its own guardians. The Void Hunters destroyed 3 of our monitoring stations near Jupiter, she reported, showing the latest data. They're testing our defenses, looking for weak spots. Peter Walsh and Amy Bennett had joined her team, using their enhanced abilities to analyze the enemy's tactics. The Void Hunters used technology too, but in a different way. They didn't merge with it. They consumed it, turning machines into weapons. "Look at this," Amy said, pointing to a screen showing the destroyed stations. "They didn't just break them. They absorbed them, like they were eating the technology itself." Peter nodded, his eyes glowing as he connected to the defense systems. "That's why our ancestors had to hide. The Void Hunters don't just want to defeat us. They want to consume our power, make it their own." Back at the training facility, Eric worked with his students late into the night. Some learned to fly drones with their thoughts, while others practiced interfacing with more complex systems. Each success made them stronger, more confident. "Remember," he told them, "we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every civilization that believes technology should help life grow, not consume it." The Arcturus representatives shared more of their knowledge each day. They showed humanity how their ancestors had used their abilities to build wonders, to heal, to explore. But they also warned of the destruction the Void Hunters had caused across the galaxy. Catherine received an urgent message from the Lunar Defense Station. "They're coming closer," she announced to the command center. "The Void Hunters are gathering their forces near Mars." In response, Eric's training program expanded. New facilities opened around the world as more people awakened to their abilities. They had to be ready, had to be strong enough to face what was coming. Peter and Amy worked with the ancient devices from the underwater ruins, learning their secrets. "Our ancestors built these to fight the Void Hunters," Amy said, studying the particularly complex piece of technology. "They knew we'd need them again someday." Eric watched his students practice, their powers growing stronger each day. Some could now control entire networks of machines at once. Others had learned to create shields of pure energy, just like their ancestors. "We're not ready," one of his students said, looking worried. Eric thought about everything they had learned, everything they had accomplished in such a short time. "Maybe not," he replied, watching as his students worked together to control a complex defense system. "But we're getting stronger every day. And this time, we're not facing them alone." Above them, the stars seemed to dim as distant ships gathered in the darkness. The storm was coming, and Earth's new guardians would soon face their first real test. The lunar colony's alarms blared through every corridor. On the main viewing screen, dark shapes moved against the stars, their ships looking like holes in space itself. The Void Hunters had finally arrived. Peter Walsh stood in the colony's control center, his mind connected to every system at once. Around him, other techno-mages prepared for their first real battle. They had trained for this, but training was different from facing an enemy that had destroyed entire civilizations. "They're targeting our communication arrays first," Catherine Moore's voice came through the emergency channel from Earth. "Don't let them cut you off from the network." The first attack came fast. Black tendrils of energy reached out from the Void Hunter ships, trying to corrupt the colony systems. Peter felt the attack in his mind like ice spreading through his thoughts. "Hold the line," he shouted, both with his voice and through the neural network connecting the defenders. "Remember your training." Amy Bennett worked frantically in her lab back on Earth, watching the battle through the colony sensors. She had been studying how their ancestors had fought the Void Hunters, and now she saw their ancient enemies' tactics firsthand. "The Void Hunters aren't just attacking the machines," she told the Defense Council. "They're trying to corrupt the connection between our people and their technology. But I think I found a way to stop them." On the moon, the battle grew more intense. Some of the colony's outer sensors went dark as the Void Hunters consumed them. But the defenders were learning, adapting. Each time the enemy tried to corrupt their systems, the Techno-Mages found new ways to push them back. A young defender named Sam managed to turn one of the enemy's attacks back on itself, causing a Void Hunter ship to recoil in apparent pain. "They can be hurt," he called out. "They're not invincible." Eric Foster coordinated the defense from a secondary control room. "Focus your energy," he told his former students. "Don't fight alone. Link your powers together like we practiced." The defenders joined their abilities, creating shields of pure energy around the colony's most important systems. When the Void Hunters struck these shields, they couldn't corrupt them. Amy's voice suddenly came through on a secure channel. "Peter, I found something. The ancient records show that our ancestors didn't just fight the Void Hunters. They could heal the corruption they caused. The power isn't just in our technology, it's in our DNA." Peter understood immediately. He reached out to the other defenders through their neural link, sharing Amy's discovery. Together, they didn't just shield their systems, they began to cleanse them, pushing the corruption back. The Void Hunters seemed surprised by this resistance. Several of their ships pulled back, regrouping. For the first time, they faced prey that could fight back in ways they didn't expect. "Look!" Someone pointed at the main screen. The Arcturus ships had arrived, their silver hulls gleaming as they engaged the enemy. But they weren't fighting alone. Earth's defenders had proven they could hold their own. Catherine's voice came through again. "The Lunar Colony Defense Network is back online. The Void Hunters are retreating." A cheer went up through the control room. They had done it. The first battle was won. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. Amy's face appeared on a nearby screen, smiling despite her exhaustion. "Now we know we can fight them," she said. "And I'm learning more about our powers every day. Next time, we'll be even stronger." Peter looked out at the Earth hanging in the black sky. The Void Hunters were still out there, probably regrouping. But humanity had shown they weren't helpless. They were the descendants of the Techno-Mages, and they were remembering how to fight. Lisa Wright touched the glowing wall of the underwater ruins, and another hidden door slid open. Since the battle at the lunar colony, she and Dr. Daniel Carter had been working nonstop to unlock more of humanity's ancient secrets. "Daniel, you need to see this," she called out, her enhanced senses picking up powerful energy readings from the newly revealed chamber. "This isn't just another storage room." Daniel rushed over, his own abilities letting him feel the sleeping technology all around them. The chamber was massive, filled with rows of strange machines that hummed softly in response to their presence. "It's some kind of factory," he said, watching as ancient systems began to power up. "No, not just a factory. It's a defense system." At his training facility, Eric Foster worked with a new group of awakened individuals. After the news of the lunar colony victory, more people had started showing signs of technological abilities. The facility now had hundreds of students, all learning to use their powers. "The Void Hunters will return," he told his class. "But this time, we'll be better prepared. Every day, more of our people awaken to their abilities. Every day, we grow stronger." Amy Bennett's voice came through on the communication system. "Eric, we need some of your advanced students. Lisa and Daniel found something big, and we need help bringing it online." In the underwater facility, Lisa and Daniel led a team through the ancient factory. Machines that had slept for thousands of years were waking up, responding to the presence of their creators' descendants. "Our ancestors didn't just leave us their knowledge," Lisa explained, showing them a massive production line. "They left us everything we need to defend ourselves. This facility can create advanced defense systems, weapons that can fight the Void Hunters." Peter Walsh arrived with a group of technicians from NASA. His eyes glowed as he connected with the ancient systems, understanding their purpose. "These machines don't just build weapons," he said. "They can upgrade our existing technology, make it stronger against corruption." Catherine Moore coordinated the operation from the surface. "The Arcturus scouts report that the Void Hunters are gathering a larger fleet," she told them. "We have maybe 2 weeks before they return." The factory came to life under their combined efforts. Ancient machines began producing devices that could shield technology from corruption, weapons that could fight back against the Void Hunters' attacks, and systems that could heal damaged equipment. Eric's students learned quickly their powers growing as they worked with the ancient technology. Some showed special talent for operating the production lines, while others proved skilled at testing and improving the new devices. "Look at this," Amy said, studying the data from their latest tests. "Each device we activate makes our neural network stronger. The more we work with them, the more powerful our abilities become." Daniel discovered something else: plans for orbital defense platforms that could protect entire continents. "Our ancestors had built a shield around Earth," he explained. "If we can reactivate it, we can protect not just the lunar colony, but everything." Lisa finished his thought. The work continued day and night. Teams of techno-mages worked in shifts, producing and testing new equipment. The ancient factory worked perfectly, as if it had been waiting for this moment. Peter oversaw the distribution of the new devices to defense centers around the world. "We're not just giving people weapons," he told Catherine. "We're giving them hope. Proof that we can win this fight." Above them, the Arcturus ships maintained their watch. But now Earth wasn't just depending on their protection. Humanity was rebuilding its own defenses, remembering its own strength. "The Void Hunters think they know what we can do," Eric said, watching his students master the new equipment. "But they've never faced the full power of the Techno-Mages. And this time, we're ready for them." The sky above Earth turned black as the Void Hunter fleet arrived. Their ships blocked out the stars, casting shadows across entire continents. This wasn't a raid like before. This was an invasion. Peter Walsh stood in the Global Defense Center, his mind connected to thousands of other techno-mages through the neural network. Around the world, people watched their screens as humanity prepared for its greatest battle. "All defense stations, report in," Catherine Moore called out, her voice steady despite the tension. One by one, centers around the world confirmed they were ready. The ancient defense platforms they had rebuilt now orbited Earth, their shields glowing with power. Eric Foster's trained techno-mages stood ready at key locations worldwide, their abilities stronger than ever. "They're sending us a message," Amy Bennett announced, her quantum computers decoding the transmission. "They say we can surrender now, and they'll make our end quick." Peter smiled grimly. "Send them our answer." Around the Earth, every defense platform lit up at once. The ancient factory under the ocean had worked non-stop for 2 weeks, producing everything they needed. Now was the time to use it. The Void Hunters struck first, their corruption weapons targeting Earth's satellites. But this time, the satellites fought back. The new shields held strong, powered by the combined strength of hundreds of techno-mages. "First wave incoming," Catherine shouted as enemy ships dove toward the atmosphere. Earth's new defenses responded immediately, energy beams shooting up from ground stations around the world. The battle raged across the solar system. Near Mars, Arcturus ships engaged the enemy's rear forces. Around the Moon, the upgraded lunar colony's weapons helped protect Earth's flank. In the defense center, Peter felt something changing in the neural network. The more they worked together, the stronger their connection grew. Amy had predicted this. Their ancestors' greatest power wasn't their technology, but their ability to join their minds together. "Everyone, listen." Amy called through the network. "Don't fight them separately. Join your powers together, just like we practiced." Across the planet, techno-mages linked their abilities. Their individual powers combined into something greater, something the Void Hunters had never faced before. The defense platforms responded, their energy growing stronger. The enemy noticed the change. Their ships pulled back, regrouping for another attack. But Earth's defenders pressed their advantage. Eric's students used their abilities to turn the Void Hunters' corruption back against them. "Look!" someone shouted. Where the combined powers of the techno-mages touched the enemy ships, the corruption was being cleaned away. The Void Hunters' greatest weapon was being undone. The enemy fleet broke formation, trying to retreat. But humanity wasn't finished. The defense platforms fired again, their beams guided by the united power of Earth's techno-mages. Ship after ship was cleansed of corruption, left floating powerless in space. They're running," Catherine announced as the remaining Void Hunter ships fled toward the outer solar system. Cheers erupted in defense centers around the world. But Peter felt something else through the neural network, a sense of peace, of completion. They hadn't just won a battle. They had remembered who they truly were. Amy's face appeared on the main screen, tears of joy in her eyes. "The ancient records were right," she said. "Our greatest power was never about fighting. It was about healing, about making things whole again." Days later, as Earth celebrated its victory, the Arcturus representatives met with the Defense Council. They spoke of rebuilding, of reconnecting with other civilizations, of taking their place among the stars again. "Your ancestors would be proud," the Arcturus leader told them. "You have not only remembered your heritage, you have proven yourselves worthy of it." Peter stood with his friends, watching Earth's first official diplomatic mission prepare to leave for the stars. The ships were new, built with recovered ancient technology and improved by humanity's reawakened abilities. "So what now?" Eric asked, as they watched the ships rise into the dawn sky. "Now," Catherine said, smiling, "we go home to the stars. And this time, we're staying."